Hey, this is Bruce Boudreau, and you're listening to Empty Betters with Nick, Mac, and Harrison.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to episode 185 of Empty Betters. I'm your host, Harrison Scholes. I am going to toss it across the screen to my co-host, Mr. Nick Manella. What's going on, my friend?
Boys, we have a lot to talk about. That's all I'm going to say about it. Let's just get into it.
This is going to be a very, very good episode for you folks listening, so sit back, relax, and enjoy. I am now going to toss it across the screen to my other co-host up in Wisco, who was also my roommate for the weekend, Mr. Mac Vogel. What's going on, buddy?
How we doing, y'all? Thanks for joining us. As Harry said, we've got a jam-packed episode. So with that being said, we're going to forego the question of the day this week. I'll be back with another goofy one for you next week. But yeah, we're ready to just jump right in. So
we have enough questions coming into this episode. We don't need any more.
That's a good point as well. So
so we got a big interview on tap. We just wrapped up an interview with Mr. Brandon Sawyer, aka B-Saw on Twitter. He was a great interview. Appreciate him coming on. One of the best hockey Twitter gambler follows out there, also on a mad hot streak right now, so hop on the train while you can. We will be releasing his picks and stuff on our page, so be sure to give us a follow. We're always retweeting each other, so thank you, Brandon. That will be an interview right after we do the Elwoods recap, and then after the interview we'll get into the news and all the good juicy stuff. All right, real quick, want to say thank you to Elwoods. We were just there over the weekend. Me and Mac were there. Want to give a huge shout out to Nathan, the owner of Elwoods. Had a watch party for the Hawks home opener against the Vegas Golden Knights. Was a ton of fun. Mac, what were your thoughts on the night?
Super fun. Yeah, obviously not the result that all the Hawks fans in attendance wanted, but it was a good game. We got a Bedard goal at the UC to open up the game. That was pretty cool. Just hearing the bar go crazy when that puck went in. And yeah, I echo what you said. Thanks to Nathan, man. What a G. That guy is awesome. He was telling me some pretty awesome stories. Dude's been in the Milwaukee bar scene for a long time and has had some interesting celebrity run-ins. I won't spoil them because we actually want to get him on the show at some point soon and share some of those fun stories with you guys. But yeah, great party. We can't wait to do it again. And we've only done these watch parties now in Milwaukee and Baltimore, but yeah, we hope to just keep expanding that. At least I do. So
Yeah.
Be on the lookout. Maybe we'll be in a city near you soon.
Also, huge shout out to your buddy DJ Riptide. Oh my God.
Oh yeah,
He was
absolutely.
fucking awesome.
Yeah,
Dude, we had a fun night.
He's a beast. Dude knows how to spin the wheels.
So it's great that he did that. And I mean, I had a chance to meet him at the last Elwoods party. He's an amazing guy, but I did see both of you get on those tables at one point. So I have to ask, what would your DJ names be?
Oh. Huh.
I'm gonna go with what's been my nickname for like my OG friend since I was a little kid, and it's also like my username for a lot of stuff. So if you want to like hack into one of my accounts, you're halfway there after this. But MacDog 2020.
Okay, that's a good one.
It's like MD 2020,
right.
but it's like MacDog instead. Also, don't get the spelling wrong. It's MAC. There's no K, and it's DOGG.
Nice.
I got a weird one. Not a weird one. It kind of fits. My college friend group has an alter ego name for me when I get a few pops in me, if you catch my drift. Which is usually also when I'm spinning the wheels, as the kids would say. So I guess it goes hand in hand. Mine would be Harry Buckets.
Okay.
Harry Buckets. I like
that.
I like that.
Harry Buckets.
That's a good
What
one.
about you?
DJ Man Ray.
Yo, that's so good. All right, all three.
Yeah.
I would go to all three of these shows.
Not that
I saw that as the DJ.
I am going to be DJing anywhere anytime soon, unless you just want to hear Zeppelin all night. But
What about
Yeah.
DJ Man Rocket? No,
might need
Nick,
a
you could
little
earn
bit,
that title. There
little
you go.
aftermarket work there to live up to that. I think.
That's for the OF only, anyways.
Well,
Exactly.
the people want to hear the interview, so should we give it to them?
Yes, we should. So we are going to send it off to Mr. Brandon Sawyer right now. And it is now our pleasure to welcome to the podcast Mr. Brandon Sawyer himself. A lot of pucking goals, the best motto on Twitter, in my opinion. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well. It's a pleasure to be on here with you guys. I appreciate it. It's especially after a big night last night.
Yeah. Last night was the Frozen Frenzy. We'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, man, it's good to have you on. Appreciate all the support that you give us on Twitters. Obviously, that's really cool. So I want to ask you before we talk about the Frozen Frenzy recap. This season so far, obviously, you're a big guy on betting the over. What have you seen so far this season? You got any teams you like? How's it all working?
It's been interesting. It has. I know Elio's talked a bunch about how the totals are real high this year. We're seeing a lot of 6.5s, barely any 6s. And I'll tell you what, there's some teams like the Minnesota Wild are an absolute overs team to me this year, which last year, I don't think I touched a single game from them. It's been interesting. I've started playing more unders this year.
Yeah.
I hate it. It's not fun. It's miserable. But I'm playing what I feel is right based on the numbers we're getting.
You got any teams other than Minnesota that you've been eyeballing? I know last night was a big trap for Tampa, Carolina. Everybody was on that.
That I should have known. But it was one of those games when I see something like that, even if I know it's a trap, I have to play it. It's one of those that's just so sexy. Carolina, I've played the Tampa overs. For me, big one last night was LA.
Okay.
I think their overs are like 5-1, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I like them. And then, for a different reason than last year, Edmonton's just letting up 1 million goals, man. I'm still playing them.
Yeah, I know all too well about betting the Edmonton Oilers. Trust me.
What do you think about a team like Detroit? Like they get, they bring in DeBrincat, Larkin, who I've sort of been saying for the last 2 seasons is due for a breakout year. Those guys are essentially well over a point a game right now. Maybe not a team that's as strong on the back end. Have you had any success with them at all this season?
I have. And to be honest, they're a fun team right now. I'm not sure how long they can keep it up.
Right.
I don't expect DeBrincat to play like this all 82 games. I'll tell you what, though, I snagged him in the 7th round of my fantasy draft, so I love what he's doing.
7th round.
I like it, but they've been playing well in goal is the thing. Reimer and Husso, to me, they've been playing well, but yeah, if Detroit can keep scoring like this, man, it's a fun team to watch.
It's interesting too, because I feel like, obviously we're still pretty early in the season, but going into it, people were talking about these 3 teams, kind of Buffalo, Ottawa, and Detroit getting grouped together of like, okay, they're all kind of looking to make that next step. But I'm not sure everyone thought that Detroit would be the best one through the first 2 weeks. Again, it's early, but they certainly look the best of those 3 this far.
Yeah, hand up. I had Detroit third out of those 3.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's still early. I expect Buffalo to get it going. Of course, they did last night when I bet the under. Once I saw Elio put out the over, I should have known. But, I find it hard to believe this Buffalo team won't get firing. So I'll tell you what, man, the East, but specifically the Atlantic is fun right now.
Yeah.
I really like what we got going on over there.
It's funny you say that too, because everyone's always talking about how good the Metro is. A lot of the Metro powerhouses right now look like shit.
Yeah.
Especially weird.
Yeah, it is weird. I want to ask you, early in the season, a lot of people say you got to make sure you're treading water. Don't go too deep. I've made that mistake before. I'm making sure I don't make it again. what's your best advice for, the first couple weeks of the season when people are still kind of getting the data put together and, we don't really know what we're getting yet. Underdog teams are, kind of coming out of nowhere. Like you said, Detroit, I don't think any of us thought they'd be this hot. What's your best advice early on?
So it's funny because for me, like I really try and keep a small card. And I say that, but then yesterday I think I had 15 plays. So, take what I'm saying with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
It's been interesting this season. Like I mentioned, these high totals, it's been interesting trying to navigate that and seeing, like I said, Minnesota, for instance, a team that I've kind of had to adapt to on the fly. I will say, this year I took a little bit more stock in preseason, which I typically don't. And I still, it's preseason. But for instance, I liked what I saw out of Philly in the preseason. I did. And, they lost a tough one last night. I don't think they're going to be good, but trying to get that early read, it's tough. It is. There's only so much you can do with it.
And they've looked decent so far, to be honest.
They have. And the first month, I feel like it's just so difficult. Like you're constantly waiting, maybe there's some guys that are hurt out of camp. So maybe some guys from the A are getting a start. I just feel like you never know what you actually have in a hockey team when the NHL season starts until that first month is over.
And it's still, like for instance, my Bruins, where I expected us to be good. I didn't expect us to start out like this, So all the preseason talk, all the, stats going into the season can go out the door real quick. And we're seeing that with a couple teams right now. So it's fun. It keeps me on my toes for sure.
I am very glad you mentioned the Bruins because all three of us know that you're a Bruins fan, and hand up, we shit on them last year before the season started. Never thought in a million years they would have the season they did. This year, after all the departures, I think me and Mac went pretty hard on them in the preseason predictions. And here they are starting undefeated. What'd you say, 6-0 now? What are your thoughts on the Bees so far?
I did hear you guys not too high on them in the preseason. I wasn't a big fan of that. I still, coming into this season, I had them as like a 102 to 104 point team. I didn't think the drop off was going to be as hard as a lot of people expect. And again, it's early. It's hard to tell. But with the two goaltenders we've got right now, man, you put Allmark or there's really no backup there. To me, it's a 1A, and I guess you call it 1B. If these guys keep playing like this, we've got a chance again, knock on wood. But I was expecting a little bit of a drop off from Allmark, and I still am kind of on the fence. Preseason, I was talking about I'd like to see him get moved if we could pick up a top scorer somewhere. But the way it's going right now, if it's not broke, don't fix it. The kid, Matty Patra, I love. Hey, he's 30-1. I know Bedard's the favorite, and this is a long shot, but 30-1 for the calder is, he's got 3 goals so far. Maybe sprinkle a couple bucks on it.
He looks great out of camp, and his start right now. One of the things I think I really harped on the Bees about was center depth. Obviously, with the 2 guys leaving in the offseason, how do you even begin to replace those guys? I feel like you can't. Is that an area where you're, okay with what you've seen so far? I would assume so with them being 6-0. Do you think that's going to potentially be a weakness at all down the road, or do you feel pretty good about it?
I'll say this. To me, we've been winning games only having to score 2, maybe 3 goals. I don't know how sustainable that is. Pasta is going to do what Pasta does. I think Marchand getting the C on his jersey this year, I think that's kind of elevating him a little bit. But we don't have the top 6 is good right now. Don't get me wrong. JVR stepped it up. Morgan Geekie stepped it up. Not that they're MVP caliber by any means, but they're getting the job done right now. I still don't hate the idea of if we can get an elite scorer, see what we can get for Omar. You know, to me, it's worth a shot. I don't think you have that much of a drop off with Swayman. There's some good scorers, man. There are. We need them. We need them.
So speaking of scores, I want to ask you about props. I know that's an area where some people specialize, some people dabble. Based on what I've seen from you, you know, you dabble in the player props a little bit. What are your thoughts? What do you look for? You know, anytime goal guy, are you part of the shot on goal army, as we call it, because those people are insane? What, you know, where do you dabble at?
It's funny. I just you know, just before hopping on here, we got the Devils going tonight, and I threw out Timo Meyer anytime goal. Because to me, he's due right now. These are plays. I am not part of the shot on goal army. No hate to anybody who is. To me, the nitpicking with the stats and the scoring and what's a shot, and I can't do it. I can't.
Yeah.
You know, I dabble with the props for sure. I'm more of a totals and sides guy, but you know, the last night I had Trevor Moore anytime goal scorer, and I think I had one other player prop last night. But to me, when I'm watching a game and I see it, like Trevor Moore, he's just been playing well. I can't help it. I gotta just sprinkle on there anytime goal or points. I stay away from the shots. I can't deal with that.
Yeah, it's stressful. I don't know if you saw, I had a Rasmus Dahlin shot on goal pick like 2 nights ago. I swear to God, he had 5 shots in the second period, and I'm refreshing the NHL app like frantically, and it's like one shot. I'm like, how the fuck is this one shot? He just took 4. And I'm tweeting people, and they're like, I'm going insane. You're going insane. It's too much. I agree.
I can't do it. And then you get the ESPN app versus the NHL app, and the difference, it's too much for. Yeah, I know a goal when I see a goal. Although you look at the Bedard goal last night against us, I don't know. But to me, I like to keep it simple that way.
Do you look at goalies at all when you're betting, or not really?
I do. You know, this may sound stupid, but I really try not to let it influence me too much. You know, you look at last night, you had Gorgia versus Sorokin in the Avs Islanders game. And what do we have? I think 5-4 final scores, maybe more than that.
It was 7-4, but the Avs got 2 empty netters. So yeah, 5-4 basically.
Oh yeah. So you know, you look at a game like that, 2 goaltenders who are, you know, to me, top 5 goaltenders, and you get all those points up there. So I definitely take stock in it. You know, for instance, tonight I'm playing the over in this Devils Caps game. And who's the kid for the Caps tonight?
Hunter Shepherd.
See, you guys would know much more about him than me.
What's his first ever start? So
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those things I feel like I'm going to be on the wrong side of it. You know, to me, kids on their first start, they either pitch a shutout or they let up 8.
You're right. It's usually
someone we
no
actually one of our guys we had on this podcast, his first NHL start with the Caps, he went out and threw up a shutout. So we haven't had Shepherd on, so I don't know if that's any inclination for how this one's going to go.
All right, I hope not. But yeah, you know, you never know what you're getting with that, which makes it tough to me. So I look at scoring. You know, I like goals. I like to see, like you mentioned, Detroit. You see guys like DeBrincat and Larkin out there just scoring night in and night out. It's hard not to touch those overs to me.
What about Dallas? You touch them at all this year at all?
So I've been trying to play them money line. I haven't really been touching their totals too much. I did have the under in the game against Pittsburgh yesterday. They're an interesting team. What is it? 3 of their first 4 games this year went to OT.
Yep.
You know, I don't hate playing a draw 3-way with them right now. I really like Dallas. You know, I had them first out in the West coming into the season. Again, it's still early. They're a tough overs team for me, though.
They're a really hard team to read. I feel like you just never know what you're going to get with them.
Yeah, and it's, you know, anytime I try and fade Ottinger and say he's not as good as people hype him up to be, he's stellar, so it's they've got scores, but with Ottinger and that D, they can be 1-0 games real easy, which makes it tough to watch for me.
Definitely.
Well, my last question for you before we wrap up here, I want to get your Stanley Cup final prediction while we're this early, so it'll age beautifully like 10 months from now, and maybe one dark horse team that you think people are sleeping on.
All right, so let's go. Coming into it, I have a future on the Devils President's Cup. I'm gonna go Avs Devils right now.
Okay.
May sound a little chalky considering how the season started, but
little 0-1 repeat.
I could see it. Yeah, I don't think that's a bad pick.
We'll see. New Jersey needs to tighten up the defense and tighten up goaltending for sure if they want to make a run. I don't think you can outscore your way all the way through. And I mean, the Avs look real good right now.
Yeah.
They're firing. But I got to stand with my preseason right now. I'm taking Devils over the Avs, and it's tough because I was big on Seattle coming into this year.
Me too.
I know the start they've had. I have a tough time counting this team out, though. I don't know what their odds are right now to make the playoffs. I don't like them to make a run at it. I like them to make the playoffs. And don't count out my bees, man. Don't count out my bees.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're ever going to learn our lesson on that.
Yeah. Whoops. I don't hate the Bruins the way they're looking right now. Then this might be the year, they're not going to have the year they did last year, obviously, but I feel like no one's going to talk about them, and that might just be what they need.
It's usually the recipe.
Mm-hmm.
Might just be what they need.
And going into that first round matchup against Florida last year, I had a bad feeling. Florida gave us problems all year. So if we can get any matchup, I don't have Florida in the playoffs this year, but if we can get any other matchup besides Florida, I got us getting through the first round. And from there, who knows? I'll be riding them.
Who knows is the best way to put it.
Well, fellas, that's all the questions I got. Either you guys got any more questions for Brandon?
I think that's it, man. Thanks so much for taking the time. We appreciate it.
That was fun. Thanks.
No. Hey, I appreciate you guys. And, I'm sorry I'll be rooting against your Caps tonight, but I got to do it.
It's all good, man.
Not a problem.
No problem. Thanks, man. We appreciate it, and hopefully we'll get you back on soon.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
Take it easy. Big thanks to Brandon for coming on the show. It was a fun time interviewing him. And like I said, go give him a follow. We're also always reposting each other's stuff. So follow us on Twitter, follow him on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it. It's tripping me up these days.
I can't call it X. I'm sorry. I can't.
I still haven't updated my my phone or the app itself, just so I can still have the blue Twitter icon as the app. Yep.
The weirdest part is, you get like the hashtag gambling Twitter. Well, it's dead. Now people do hashtag gambling X, and I can't force myself.
That's so bad.
I can't force myself to do that. But that interview with Brandon Sawyer was brought to you by Brackish Life. If you're like us and grew up on the water and outdoors, then Brackish Life is perfect for you. They have a wide selection of gear from UV shirts to hoodies and hats. It's Real Bay apparel made by Real Bay people. Head to www.brackish.life today to check them out. A little salty, a little fresh Brackish Life. Just a reminder, Brackish Life has also teamed up with Rink to Reef Chesapeake Bay to preserve the area many of us call home. Rink to Reef repurposes broken hockey sticks into oyster restoration habitats. Brackish Life donates a portion of their proceeds to Rink to Reef to further preserve the beautiful Chesapeake Bay. Support this great cause by checking out www.brackish.life today. Once again, thank you, Brackish Life. We are going to move on to the news segment. But before we do, I think Mac has a word from Elwood's.
Yes, we do. Just want to let you guys know you should be out there supporting your local dive bar and having a beer at Elwood's Liquor and Tap, home of the Pizza Luge. Located in the heart of downtown Milwaukee on Water Street, this 70s-inspired bar has a little something for everyone. From daily happy hour, rotating taps, free birthday perks, and a four-season patio, a good time is always right around the corner. They've also got the full NHL package plus TV screens indoors and out. And hockey fans can come in, watch any game, anytime, and enjoy special hockey deals when you wear your team's gear as well. So be sure to head down to Elwood. You can bring your dogs. We will see you there.
Yes, we will see there. If you would have been there this past weekend, you would have seen us. And also, maybe they might start bringing DJ Riptide more. Who knows if he's there?
Hear that?
Yeah. But all right, last night in the NHL for the first time ever, 32 teams, 16 games, the Frozen Frenzy. ESPN2 had all night coverage of every single game, every single goal, every single hit. Out of the 16 games, there were 102 goals scored, 93 different goal scorers, 944 shots on goal, 10 road team wins. The first goal was scored by Morgan Riley at 6:30 Eastern time, and the last goal was scored by Shea Theodore at 1:45 in the morning Eastern time. It was one of the best nights in NHL history. Your guys' thoughts overall on the evening?
Well, I got two things right off the bat. Number one, the only thing that you just said that was incorrect is that Nicholas Backstrom actually scored the first goal of the entire night, and I will not hear otherwise.
Oh, sorry.
They need to implement one of those rules like the NFL pass interference, where it's like if it wasn't a catchable ball, they're not calling a penalty on that shit. Because I just want to say this right now, and then I'll shut the fuck up about it. But what the fuck's this guy's name? I don't even know. Wall. He had no idea where that puck was, and he had no chance of stopping it. So I don't even care. Anyway, it was fucking awesome. The best part about it for me is the different start times. I mean, that's something that I don't understand why we can't just be doing that when there's 4 games on. I feel like that would be even better when that's the case. But the NHL is hellbent on having like 5 games in one night, and they're all like 3 of them are at 7 and the other 2 are at 8. And it's like, oh, good. They're all going to be at intermission at the exact same time. That's helpful to nobody.
Yeah. I thought it was awesome. I mean, I had this thought last night when, you sit down to watch it, you think about, okay, like an NFL red zone type thing sounds great in theory. How is this going to be executed? Right. Huge shout out to John Butchagras and Kevin Weeks. I thought they did a fantastic job. Yeah. And coolest part of the night for me was seeing the video that Scott Hansen sent those guys, like Mr. Red Zone, most important person in my life, like shouting these 2 guys out. It was incredible. So I think this is a great thing for a non-fan of the sport or a very, very casual fan of the sport to get hooked on. Obviously this isn't something that the league can do every night. It's just not feasible, but I had so much fun with it. I thought they did a great job of, not only, laying out with their calls, but also like jumping in when they had stuff to add. I thought they just did a fantastic job with it in general, and especially for the first time doing it too. I thought it ran so smooth.
I wonder, like, from a money standpoint, I wish I could get some of those stats, like how much like money they make, like the NHL in general makes off of like ratings and ticket sales and whatever else, factor it all in on a night like that versus like, I mean, obviously they make more on a single night like that when everybody's playing, but I don't know, compare like the numbers between last night and tonight, group those together versus another like random 2 nights where there's the same amount of games, but they're more spread out, something like that. I'd be curious to find out.
I will say I do wish it was publicized a little bit more on the main ESPN channels. Like
I saw some commercials, but I didn't see them until like the night before, or maybe like Sunday or something.
Even like I was watching Around the Horn and PTI, which were on main ESPN right before that Caps Leafs game started.
Yeah.
And not one of them addressed the NHL having this, all 32 teams playing for the first time ever. It was talking about who cares NBA matchups, because that season was starting. So
it's news.
I agree with you, Nick. Butchie, Kevin, they did an unreal job. The 2 guys who definitely are, up to that task. It was an unreal night. I have no other way of saying that. And if you were betting on the games, I mean, that was just like a fever dream. That was so cool. Favorite game of the night off the top of your head? I would say mine was I mean, I lost the bet, which sucks, but it was an unreal game. Kraken Red Wings was really, really good. What about you guys?
I'd probably have to say that one as well. Just from an entertainment aspect, that one was great to watch. The Sens one was interesting. The Sens Sabres one, that got chippy with the fight between Tuck and Kachuk. And I think at one point, like the Sabres were up like 4-1, and then the Sens kind of pulled it back. So yeah, that one was a good one as well.
Yeah, I was gonna say the Sens one as well, just because I had some fantasy rooted interest there, and then it was cool to kind of see it all of a sudden be a close game at the end there. But yeah, there was a ton of good games. I'm kind of surprised. Wasn't there only 2 overtimes the whole thing? Something like that? Maybe 3?
Yeah, there wasn't too many.
And I think we had didn't the Ducks and the Jackets like have a 2-hour delay because of like a power outage or
that
something?
was a little strange. And I think that actually was one of the ones that ended up going to overtime. So there was a lot of weird stuff going on there. You know what? I kind of had a thought that I want to know what you guys think about. You know how like you'll see this in college football a lot, but you see it in the NFL and the MLB does it a lot too, where they'll have certain like weekends where they match they have like a bunch of really intentional matchups going on. You get the Michigan State, you get all the cross-state rivalries and stuff like that. That like the MLB's version of it is the Cubs will play the White Sox, the Yankees will play the Mets, all this stuff like that. I think it could be really cool to have another one of these frozen frenzies, but like hand pick these matchups like the year prior and literally have like just so many sick rivalries in one night. Would it be too much though, is my question for you guys. Like, is it, because I know it was a lot for people to even just these regular games, like, holy shit, I don't know what to watch. It's too overwhelming. Would it be too much if you had like freaking Bruins and Canadians and Caps and Penguins and Blackhawks and Blues, name all of them.
Ducks,
you got
Kings.
the Battle of Alberta is one of them. Yeah, Ducks, Kings, all this going. I think it'd be pretty
Panthers,
cool.
Bolts.
Especially if it was staggered correctly. I think it'd be really cool.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's like, how do you handle that, right? The ratings would like, do you isolate rivalry games or do you like
you'd have to basically build the schedule with like that week in mind? But I love that idea. I think that would be fantastic.
And that's what I'm saying. You'd have to do it way ahead of time, but something for the future to think about.
For sure. Especially if you did it on like a Saturday and then you could say like, oh, like, well, both the Bruins and Canadians are playing really well right now. This is slated for 3 weeks ahead of time. Let's flex this to 8 p.m. and put it in prime time.
No, that's a perfect idea. Do it on a Saturday because then you can really stagger them. I think it was a little overwhelming because it was like the 30-minute intervals mostly last night. But like if you start on a Saturday and you start at 1 Eastern, you can go all fucking day and you can spread them out really, really like intentionally. And I think
there was a couple last night that were staggered by 15 minutes too, which I loved.
Yeah. Once it started going, once it got deeper into the night, they were.
Yeah. No, it was a fun night. I had a blast. I thought ESPN for once did a really good job with their hockey coverage. So shout out to them. Shout out to the league for putting that on. Had a blast. Moving on, Mr. Cale Makar. He is in the headlines once again. He became the fastest defenseman in NHL history to reach 250 career points. He beat out a guy, you might have heard of him by the name of Mr. Bobby Orr.
How is this not getting talked about?
I know. That's kind of what I'm saying. I guess 250 is like too random. I don't know.
This is like an NBA player outscoring Wilt Chamberlain in his rookie season or something. Like, why is this not front page news?
Yeah, Bobby Orr, the greatest defenseman of all time, just got beat out by all hail Cale. So, it just puts things in perspective how good this guy is. And of course, if you watched the games last night, an absolutely unreal backhand goal against Sorokin himself. It was a sick.
He made it look so fucking easy. I don't understand. Like it was the most casual highlight reel goal I think I've ever seen.
Looks like a 40-goal winger out there, man. Like just absolutely danced the D, went around him and shelved it.
Yeah, it was extremely impressive in the Avs secure the win with that one. It wasn't long ago that he was a rookie, but speaking of rookies, the first 3 picks in this past year's draft have all scored their first NHL goals now. Fantilli, Carlson, Bedard, all 3 on the board. A couple of those guys already have 2, actually, and Fantilli's last night was unreal. Just a note here, and I can't remember how to pronounce this guy's name, so bear with me. Matthew Poitras? Poitras.
Yeah.
Sorry. Of the Boston Bruins, he leads rookies in goals right now with 3. We just talked to B-Saw about him in his interview. What have your impressions been on the rookie class so far?
I think all 3 of those guys, Fantilli, Carlson, and Bedard, they all look great. Obviously, Bedard's had the most camera time out of all of them. I mean, you could probably like triple anyone else's camera time over the last like 4 rookie seasons if you think about it. Carlson scored in his first NHL game. Parents were there. That was awesome to see. Fantilli took him a couple games, but I know he's got at least 2 goals under his belt already, and I still think there's a chance that guy wins the Calder.
Yeah, he's nasty. He's got a sick shot. I mean, I don't know. I can't believe Anaheim passed on him.
It's been cool seeing like for all you fantasy players out there, it's kind of like a musical chairs with some of these like lesser touted rookies, like a guy like Poitras, where it's like you see him kind of getting passed around through waivers. Somebody adds him for a game or 2, drops him, somebody else picks him up. Eventually he's just going to end up on somebody's roster to stay, and they're going to hit the lottery, because I really think a guy like him is probably going to end up having a really good season. As B-Saw was just mentioning, he's maybe sprinkling a couple bucks on him for the Calder. Even that's how good he thinks he can be. So, but it's definitely been interesting to watch a lot of these rookies, no doubt.
It's a great reminder that just because you're drafted 2nd overall does not mean you're going to have this, incredible instant impact or a Hall of Fame career. So, there's tons of guys like Max said that, are just riding the bus, paying their dues. And then they get that one opportunity where they click with guys that are on their line or with their teammates, and it just works.
We didn't even say Mr. Logan Cooley, who is actually leading all rookies in points right now with 5.
Right.
Yep. He's unbelievably nasty, guys. Like, out of all rookies, I know this might be like contentious, but I kind of might say best hands.
I wouldn't hate it. I maybe the best vision too. Guy's got eyes on the back of his head. So the Yotes are a fun team to watch right now. Keep a lookout. Mr. Pierre-Luc Dubois, guy who's been in headlines a lot in recent off seasons, finally scored his first goal as a member of the Kings in his highly anticipated return to Winnipeg. Ironically enough, it was the lowest attended Winnipeg Jets game since their move from Atlanta. Kind of a weird stat there. I want your guys' thoughts on both of these points.
So I put this in here because I guess like a number of teams have had like drop off in attendance this year to start. I know like the Caps sellout streak ended. I've seen a bunch of Jets fans on Twitter bitching about attendance. There's been a couple other teams in there as well. Like, why are you not packing that barn? Do you guys remember what Islanders fans did to Tavares when he went back there? I mean, they literally sold out one game that year just so they could boo him. And shocked.
They were booing him, but it wasn't very loud. Yeah.
And that arena, Winnipeg's arena, let's remember, it holds about 3,000 to 4,000 less than pretty much every other barn in the NHL. And so there was probably only like 11 or 12,000 people there. And there was some nonsense calls that happened, and they were getting ready to kill the ref. I'm like, don't kill the ref. Kill your former player that said he wasn't going to leave, then left, then scored right in your face 2 minutes into the game.
Yeah, that the irony of that is pretty hard. I don't know. Canadian market too, nonetheless. Like,
also, like, do you want to do this again, Winnipeg? Like, really, are we gonna do this again where you lose your hockey team? I don't want to take it that far, but the quickest way for that to happen is
already talking about it.
Is for you to stop showing up to hockey games.
Yeah.
Not looking good. We'll see. Fun team though. Kyle Connor, beast. Thank you for helping me hit the parlay of a lifetime last night. Speaking of the Jets, some sad news here. Rick Bowness takes a leave of absence to spend time with his wife, who is recovering from a seizure. So he's going to be out for the foreseeable future. Obviously, thoughts and prayers to Rick Bowness and his family, to the Jets organization. I mean, nobody ever wants to hear that. That's a tough one.
Yeah, family first, of course. And I love Rick Bowness. I think he's a class act, cool coach. I liked him a lot when he was with Dallas on that cup run a couple of years back. So thoughts go out to him.
Yeah, guys just love to see him play. Like, it seems like they love playing for him too. So hopefully everything's okay, and hopefully he can get everything situated with his family and get back soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's a weird stat for you guys. So Logan O'Connor, through 6 games of the Colorado Avalanche, has 3 goals. All 3 goals are shorthanded. I don't know if I've ever recalled call it a situation where that happens. Maybe Jordan Stahl his rookie year. I think he had like 2 shorties in his first like 5 games. I don't know. It's pretty crazy.
It's super weird. They were all like pretty nice ones too.
They were really nice.
Yeah. I don't know how that happens. That's just a total like hockey gods thing. I feel like there's just no explaining like how or why that happens.
He's kind of like the perfect penalty kill player though, because like he's gritty enough to just like eat pucks if he needs to, like can get in the face-off dot and like muck it up if he needs to. And then the second you're going the other way, he's quick, he's got great hands, and he can shoot the puck.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Everybody on the Avs is looking good right now. We'll touch on them in a little bit. Last piece of news here. Rasmus Anderson suspended 4 games for his high hit on Patrick Laine. Anderson appealed the suspension, but it was upheld by the league. Side note, that has nothing to do with this. Last night on the Frozen Frenzy, they had George Peros on live. They were asking him about a hit that didn't have a penalty called and how he approaches that situation. And he gave the most non-answer I have ever heard in my life. It's almost like the PR team had an earpiece in him. So just shout out to George for keeping it ambiguous, I guess. Who knows?
Nice. Yeah, this was a suspension. And then like I know he appealed it, but like he just absolutely rang the guy's bell.
Yeah, it looked pretty right on the head to me when I watched it.
4 games sound about right?
I was a little bit surprised this
much.
early in the season to see 4 games dished
well,
out.
and is Rasmus a repeat offender? I would think not.
Nothing comes to
my
mind.
gut would tell me no, but I mean,
unless he hit me up high,
yeah, right. Yeah, no, I would have thought maybe like 2 personally, but
yeah, I would have been okay with 1.
I think 2 to 3 somewhere there. 4 seems a bit much. I mean, Laine's like kind of like falling backwards as it's like he's trying to like dodge it, but he just made it worse. I don't know. I think 2 to 3, but 4 this early in the season, it is what it is.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, let's move on to the discussion portion of the episode presented by Kane Footwear, who I think Nick has a word from.
That's right. You guys know about Kane Footwear because we talk about it every single week. Kane Footwear is changing the game by providing a unique shoe focused on recovery while being made from sustainable materials. The Kane Revive is made with bounce-back foam created from Brazilian sugarcane. A renewable resource, sugarcane helps reduce greenhouse gases by capturing CO2 as it grows. Kane's unique bounce-back foam provides the ideal balance of cushioning and support to help the body renew. Head to the link in our bio today to grab a pair of the most comfortable shoes you will ever own.
All right, first discussion point. This is one I really want to touch on because I feel like all 3 of us are on different wavelengths with this topic. Mr. Jack Hughes, off to an unbelievable start for the New Jersey Devils, currently tied with Larkin and DeBrincat for the league lead in points. I think he has 14. Don't fact check me on that. We'll see. The Devils are obviously probably one of the top 5 favorites to win the Cup. I came on the show before the season started, and I'm pretty sure I said if McDavid doesn't win the Hart, Jack Hughes is going to win the Hart. So far, he is lighting it up. So I want to know your guys' thoughts on where you think he ranks in terms of best players in the NHL. Before I toss it off to you guys, I ran a poll on Twitter this morning to try and get some votes for this just to see where our fans are. We got 75 votes on the poll. They had about 8 hours to answer. 34% said top 3, 36% said top 5, 23% said top 10, and 7% said top 20. So top 5 being the most popular, very close second being top 3. Your guys' thoughts?
Are we doing players or forwards?
And also, are we doing like right now or like projected this season?
Yeah.
Are we doing like at this moment or like who we expect to be like end of the season, rank your top 10 players type thing?
So Nick, to answer your question, players, Mac, to answer your question, kind of your own weighted average of both.
Okay.
That's how I imagine it.
So he does have 14 points in 5 games, which is just insane.
It's like almost 3 points per game.
Yeah.
I'm comfortable with top 10.
Yeah. I think we can all agree top 10. Anyone
literally I would put him 6th. Like or 5th. But
yeah.
Well, the difference in the voting is 6th or
Right.
5th, so I kind of need you to
Well,
not
he's saying he's
wishy-washy.
right on the fence there.
I'm going to go ahead and say 5.
Okay.
I have him a little lower personally. I've got him top 8. I know he's off to a crazy start. I don't want to take anything away from that. But like you said, the weighted average where I kind of expect him to be in terms of like, rank your like most valuable players in the league at the end of the season. I'm trying to kind of factor that in a little bit. I expect him to be a little closer, like maybe 7, something like that.
I think one of the
Okay.
other things I've been seeing about this guy online is everyone says like, oh, if he like goes into the offseason and adds like 10, 15 more pounds, he could be like the best player in the NHL. I'm like, I don't really think he needs to do that, because if you watch
I don't
Jack
think he
Hughes
does.
plays, the best thing about his game, in my opinion, is just his ability to find open space and then receive the puck and score from that area where
Yeah.
no one can touch him.
Well, and that's not his game. It's like they want him to be like bigger. He's fast and he's like just kind of sneaky. He dodges hits. He just kind of keeps his feet moving a lot. And so
Yeah.
Shifty.
I think Devils
Yeah, very
fans are
shifty.
just confused. They're used to like Scott Stevens like killing people, and they're
The
like, wait,
bruisers. Yeah.
they're like,
It's
we're
a
scoring
different-
more than 3
it's a
goals in
different
a
era.
game. This is weird.
Yeah, it's a different era for the Devils. They got to get used to it a little bit.
With McDavid out for 1, maybe 2 weeks, we don't have official diagnosis on that. He could fall behind in the point race, and if that happens, I do think somebody else is going to end up winning MVP, and I do think Jack Hughes, assuming no injury, can win that trophy. I think he's he's 3 or 4 in my book. It depends. I have a hard time with Makar. Makar is that one wild card.
I have a hard time when you like factor in tendies too.
Didn't McDavid win it and miss like 10 games recently? So I'm not going to be too worried until he misses like 25, honestly.
He's kind of had a
Right.
weird start, so have the Oilers for that matter. But yeah, well, Nick, if you got a tendy you want to throw in there, let me hear it.
I mean, Sorokin, Vasi, any of those guys, in my opinion, with just how good they are, and when you factor in a goalie, I think you have to factor in how much they mean to that team, like how valuable that guy is,
Sorokin.
as opposed to like a winger or defenseman or what have you. But like, if you take away Vasi from that team, they don't win. They don't go to that many cups. They don't win 2 in 3 years or whatever it was. The Islanders might not even make the playoffs if you take Sorokin out of that locker room.
I'm right there on that train.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I don't know. I mean, goalies, yeah, it's tough it's almost like they're their own thing.
Yeah.
I think Hughes is top 3. I'm gonna go ahead and say I'll probably put him 3. Yeah, he's fucking good, dude. And last night this is what sparked this discussion point in the poll on Twitter. Last night, I think it was Butchie, and they had the Devils game on. He goes, yeah, he might be the best American player in the league right now. And I was like, you know what? Right now, I don't know if like I said, weighted average, but right now, he's that dude.
Well, and Matthews has had a good start too. It's not even like it.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean,
you guys are making valid points. You're just pronouncing Jason Robertson incorrectly, but
14 points.
Nick is such a big J-Rob guy.
I respect it. Yeah, he's true to his colors.
I am. Gotta ride the boys, right?
Yeah, no, I like when we get the polls going on Twitter. So everyone.
Yeah, we should do that more.
You.
That was a good on you, Harry, to get that in there.
Poll.
A little State of the Union. If you're new here and you're listening to us for the first time, Mr. Nick and Mr. Mac, big time Washington Capitals fans, myself, big time Pittsburgh Penguins fans. It's been a fun run the last 15 years, but today is a very depressing day. We are 2 weeks into the season, and we might be at Depression Day already, which usually is saved for around April.
I just want to say one thing, that as of this moment,
the
Washington Capitals are leading a hockey game.
Let's go. I bet the Caps tonight. Let's go.
And guess who scored the fucking goal? Everybody's favorite Capital, Anthony Mantha. Let's go, baby.
Oh, wow.
Let's go. We are so unbelievably bad.
Never a doubt for even a second.
So 1-0 Caps against the Devils.
It was kind of a sick goal, a little 2-on-1. He looked off, just looking at the snake eyes pass, and then just tucked it right between VV's legs. Love it.
Yeah.
So thoughts on the Caps so far and Pens? Let's go. Let's just blend it all in.
Well, if you'd asked me 5 minutes ago, I would have said it's Depression Day. But now that we're winning this game 1-0 against the Devils on a second of back-to-back, I believe that we're going to win the Stanley Cup.
Okay. Valid point.
It's that simple.
That's science.
That's science. No,
It's
okay.
not been a good start to the season.
No.
I think that's a very friendly way of me putting that.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's been a problem to be a Caps fan these past
Yeah.
2 weeks here. But
It has.
I think the big thing is, and Mac and I have talked at length about this, is they're getting chances, and the chances are just either not being taken at all, or they're just running into some form of, wall in front of them. Oh, by the way, it's 2-0 Caps.
It seems like each game there's been like a little bit of a different problem each time. Like that, I don't know how to like fully explain that, but like last night, for example, talking about the Leafs game, we had like a ridiculous amount of shots. It felt like we dominated the whole game, but it was kind of a case of like gripping your sticks too tight. They're almost just trying too hard out there and like just not letting things come organically. So, that's the problem that night. But then other nights we get shut out. We have no good chances. Like there's just been a big salad bowl of problems, essentially. So it's tough to pinpoint. But the one thing that I've heard over and over again from analysts and people on Twitter that I could not agree more with is like we just have no fucking idea what our identity is right now.
Yes.
Like we don't know. Are we a team that scores a lot of goals, but doesn't defend that well? Are we a team that like has like a great goaltender? Like, are we like a shutdown D team? Like we're none of these things, but like we're gonna have to figure out something that we are.
Just pick one and fake it till you make it. I did that for 6
Literally.
years and I got a college degree out of it. It's sitting right damn
There
there.
you go.
Like anyone
Yeah.
can do it.
Right. So I don't know that again, it's early. This is kind of why it's fun to have these conversations. It's the way too early panic mode of like, what the fuck's going on? And then, we look back in a couple of weeks even, and we might be like, oh, it's not that bad. Or, oh, it's way worse. Who knows?
The latter.
Yeah.
The
Some of my
latter.
takeaways from the first games were just like, the power play looks anemic at this point.
That is
like it's bad. It's really bad. It's now bad to the point where I would say complete overhaul.
Yeah.
Take everyone off and start from scratch.
Yep.
And that includes Alex Ovechkin, in my opinion. And I know they're never going to take him off of PP1, but like if you're going to be out there, you do have to move.
Put him in front of the net. That's what I want to do. Get him out of the office. Just stick him in front of the fucking net. Like plant him right in front of the goalie and have somebody try and move him.
Yeah. I'd like to see
put Carlson in Ovi's office or something. I don't know. It's like they got to do something different, man.
Yeah. Passing, not great. Tons of passes to the feet. Love seeing that. It's like my favorite thing ever as a hockey fan is passes to the feet.
Also, one thing that I'm usually never saying about I'm not even being sarcastic right now. I almost never say this. At least in the Toronto game, Kemper looked terrible to me. He like almost every goal like went off of his pad, like either like hit his blocker and like ramped up into the net, or like it just some real tough looks. And like I get it, you can argue like the D sucks too, and like not every goal is his fault, but like 4 goals on like 12 shots or whatever the fuck it was, figured out. Like I don't care. I figured out. That's unbelievable.
Yeah. It's just, it's not been a good start. Hopefully this is something to learn from and grow from. It's been tough for Spencer Carberry. This is definitely a baptism by fire, for getting into the NHL. So.
Well, I was about to say, Harry, we have a new coach. What the fuck's your excuse?
I'll give. Actually, we
you
don't
guys
have
just
excuse.
suck
I just
for no
want,
reason.
I just want to fucking flame people. Can I do that real quick, or is that
before you do? I just hands down my favorite player on your team has been your defenseman Alex Nedeljkovic. I mean, he made an absolute great play.
Hey, he got hurt during that play. Don't make fun of him.
He did get hurt during that play.
What an idiot!
He's on LTIR.
He didn't need to do that at all. So the Nedeljkovic experience is over.
Our savior Magnus Hellberg is replacing him, so it's totally fine.
Good.
Dude, the Penguins are fucking bad. They are a bad hockey team. I'm going to read you some stats that are going to make your eyeballs pop. Actually, it won't if you know this team well enough like I do, but we are 6 games into the season, The bottom 6 forwards have one goal, and that one goal is by a guy who did not start on opening night because Mike Sullivan hates young people. Radim Zahorna, the only guy with a goal. He's 6'6". He didn't even make the opening roster. Had a great camp. He
That's
scored
an
against St. Louis. That's the
incredible name, by the way.
only goal of the season by someone not named Carlson, Smith, Russ, Crosby, Gensel, Malkin. That's the problem. That's the problem. This team has no depth. It's the same thing as last year. The only reason I don't have a shotgun in my mouth at the moment is because I do believe Kyle Dubas, if necessary, will do what he has to do to try to drag this team into the playoffs. If it was Ron Hextall, I'd have given
I'm
up.
glad you said that because that's all he's done in the past, right?
Don't shit on Doobie. You guys don't have anything to look forward to. It's just bad, man. Like, there's no depth. Lars Eller is the only shining light that I saw last night in the Dallas game. He looked pretty decent. I'll give him that. The power play abysmal. You guys said anemic, I think was the word for the Caps. The Penguins power play is anemic too. It's horrible. I don't know what the fuck they're doing. Honestly, and I know you guys are gonna give me shit for this. It's not even really Jari's like fault. Like, he's not playing great by any means, but he's also not like I wouldn't say he's like, oh my God, he's Swiss cheese, like you guys were saying about Kemper against Toronto. We just have no depth. We have no depth.
Now that you guys are officially the oldest team in the NHL, is age a concern at all?
I don't know. You guys are the second oldest team, so do you share my
Are we
point?
anymore?
Yes. It's
are
been
we
like a
still
problem
the second
for
oldest
3
team?
years now.
I feel like we're not the second oldest team.
You
anymore.
are the second oldest team on opening night. I don't know if you've made some roster changes.
Were we again?
Because ESPN
Seriously?
was like, it's the 2 oldest
Fuck.
teams in the league.
Yeah.
God damn it. You're right. They did say that like 6 billion times.
I'm not concerned because the Caps being old has been a problem for 3 seasons now. So
We'll see.
I'm just used
Right.
to it.
I got one more thing I want to say. So I talk about the forward depth. We've had like 4 different defensemen on the bottom pairing 6 games into the year. We started with Ruedel and Oliver Joseph. They're both gone, just not here. I don't know, healthy scratch, whatever. They replace him with John Ludwig, who got a concussion in his first
RIP.
career game, and Ryan Shea. So I'm like, what is
Who?
going on? Exactly. I don't even know who Ryan Shea is. He also doesn't have a picture on NHL.com, so that's great.
It's like the when you're playing NHL franchise mode and you're way too far in the future and they're just making guys up and they've got like a face made of clay.
Yeah.
Dude, it's just this team is like not fun. Like, not only are they bad, it's not like they're bad like Buffalo's been, but every game's like 7-4, and it's like, oh, Tage Thompson's sick. If we just got a goalie, it's like, no, like there's no hope. This is the end of
There's
the
no
tunnel.
hope.
There's no hope. This team's
Okay.
done. They're dead.
Well, 2 minutes ago, you were saying that at least we don't have anything to look forward to, and you guys do. So
I'm
make up
writing
your
this
mind.
down. They're dead.
Yeah.
What is this? October 25th, 8:11 p.m.
Yeah, they're also on my banned betting list. They have joined the Nashville Predators for being on my banned betting list. I can't bet them anymore.
Put them on the shelf.
Yeah, they're on the shelf right now. So, anyways, I could go on and on. I don't think people want to hear me bitch anymore, but sucks. It's not fun.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. I'd rather be a Caps fan than a Penguins fan, and I'll tell you why. Number one, at least we have a goal record to chase.
I knew that was coming. The record.
When we're terrible, at least we got something else we can be excited about.
Not at this pace.
Yeah, that's fair. But
Sorry, Dick.
Mac, real quick, just while everyone's on the podcast, could you raise your hand if your team is beating the Devils 3-0 in the first period? Yo,
Can you raise your hand if you beat the Caps 4-0?
that was then. This is
we
now.
can't beat ourselves. We can't beat ourselves 4-0. So of course we're not raising your hand.
No one beats
Actually,
the
we kinda
Washington
did
Capitals except the Washington.
Yeah, actually, I was about to say, hold on. Wait a minute. Let
That's
me walk
fair.
that back.
I'll give you that one. Score 1 for you guys.
Yeah.
That was fun. I enjoyed that.
That was good.
Sorry, everybody who had to just listen to our therapy session. And we kind of fought about who's worse, which is like
Usually that happens in like May.
Well, in past years, Harry and I have had bets of like whatever team finishes higher in the standings. We might need to do one for who finishes lower this season.
Dude, I was pissed.
Jesus.
My reverse jinx to try and get the Caps to come back and win that game the other night with the tattoo bet didn't work.
Damn.
I've tried.
Well, you can
much
always try
worse.
again.
Right.
Last discussion topic, then a little trivia from Mac, and we'll get you all out of here. So far, 2 weeks into the season, what team are you most concerned about this season? And then which team are you most optimistic about so far this season?
It's a good question.
So, Harry, I know we just dunked on your favorite team a little bit, but now I'm going to have to dunk on your third favorite team a little bit. It's going to be the Oilers.
Yeah. It's bad.
And I'm going to tell you why. So the Edmonton Oilers are currently 11th in the league in preventing high danger shot attempts 5v5. That's not good. They should be a lot better than that. But even more concerning, and this is where you should panic if you're an Oilers fan, is that they're 32nd in the league in high danger 5v5 save percentage. Skinner and Campbell combined are at a 605. They're the only team under 700.
Oh
Yikes.
my God. Oh, yeah, that's not good. That's
so
not good
tough.
at all. Yeah, and the McDavid injury, it's not looking good.
Right. I mean, they're going to be fine. We all know they're going to be fine, but
Who are you
that's
most
concerning. I mean,
I don't know that they're going to be fine. I'm not even capping you right now. Because I'm always talking about how the Oilers have no goaltending, and it pisses me off that they don't do anything about it ever, because they're just like, run it back. We'll try it again with still no goaltending, and it still doesn't work. And I mean, now it's not working because like they're also not scoring that many goals. It's just a weird fucking thing going on. And like, will they figure it out? I guess probably. But I still don't see the goaltending thing figuring itself out. So it's like, are
It's
you going to do something
interesting.
about that or what?
because they haven't addressed it in like 4 years. They've just
Yeah.
been like, no, it's not a problem. And I think
Yeah.
when you have the two best players in your conference for sure,
Right.
you don't really need to address that because you're so much further ahead of everyone else.
Until one gets hurt or
Right.
one stops being as good. And then it's like, well, shit, now we're just bad overall.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I don't think I can even say another team that should be like more concerned right now than the Oilers. Cause I mean, yeah, the Sharks suck, the Caps, the Penguins suck, the Blackhawks suck, whatever.
But like we knew the Sharks were going to suck.
Exactly. Of the teams that like are widely expected to be a good team, the Oilers are in trouble. And it's that simple.
Actually, I've got a team that's in trouble. Maybe not in the standings yet, but based on what I've seen so far, this is not good and very uncharacteristic. The Carolina Hurricanes have given up the most.
This is a very good point, Harry.
Yeah.
They've given up the most goals in the league. They have surrendered 33 goals so far this season. The second team right behind them, the Edmonton Oilers, with 27. That is
I
crazy.
know this is going to be like the stupidest thing I'm going to say on this podcast, and I'm already going to win the EBA for like dumbest take of the year when I say this, but like how, like for the past 2 to 3 seasons, how is this team like not like started 15-0?
I don't know.
Like, does anyone else get like on paper they should win basically every game, in my opinion?
Well, it's like their defense is so fucking good on paper. And so I don't know how to explain what's happening to them other than, I mean, the goaltending is bad right now. I mean, Freddie Anderson played like 5 minutes before getting hurt, which is like a new record, which is saying something for him because he gets hurt when when the wind blows. But yeah, he literally took a puck to the face in like his first start, like 5 minutes into the game. And he was like, oh no, I have a concussion now and I will see you all at Christmas. So yeah, they're rocking with Antti Ranta, who we all know, just kind of a solid like B1 option his whole career, I would say. Not to shit on the guy, but it's not like that's like inspiring a ton of confidence for anyone. And you got Pyotr Pachekov, which I mean he looked really good at times last season. Hey, Pyotr. But yeah, he looked really good at times last season, but so far not good this year. And I just don't know what the fuck is wrong with the defense. I don't know what to say about it. It's crazy.
It's concerning. I wouldn't hit the panic index as hard if I'm a Canes fan as I would if I'm an Oilers fan, if that makes sense. But
agreed.
If this keeps up, like, I think you can also look at it this way. The Oilers will probably be fine because their schedule is a lot weaker. They're playing a lot of teams in the Pacific. Sorry, had to be said.
Yeah.
If the Canes fall behind by November,
yeah,
it's going to be a problem to get back in the East.
Yep. That's a
Yeah,
great
it's
point.
definitely tougher. I mean, yeah, no reason to panic. 7 games in, they've got 6 points. They've got more than the Pens and the Caps. So there's, for whatever that's worth to you. But yeah, just, we always say their defense is maybe the best in the league, and now they're surrendering the most goals. That's not a good look. Who's the team that you are most optimistic about so far this season? Matt, let's start with you.
Wings.
1000%.
Buffalo Wild Wings, baby. They're so they look like an absolute wagon so far. And I'm fired up. One of my best friends is just a diehard all things Michigan guy. He's from Michigan. And he's kind of gotten back into hockey this year. He grew up a Wings fan, but as they haven't been great the last couple of years, he hasn't been following as closely as those things go for some of the casual fans. But I've been watching some games with him. He's in our fantasy league again this year. I think half of his fucking team is Red Wings, which is why he beat me last week. But they look fucking good. DeBrincat, I think, is currently, if you ask me, I think he's the best player in the NHL right now. Do I expect him to be at the end of the season? No, but right now I really think he is. And Larkin looks unbelievably good. Both goalies look good. We talked about it a little bit with Sawyer already, but yeah, I mean, I did not expect Reimer and Husso to play as well as they have so far. I also don't know how sustainable that is, but for now it's fucking working, baby, and they look awesome. And
I'm right there with you.
last thing I'll say, I think it was Witt that said it on Twitter, but the NHL is better when the Wings are good.
1000%.
It's that simple. It's that simple.
It's the same thing when the Habs are good. Like, as much as that pains me to say, it makes a difference. It's like when the Packers are good or the Steelers are good in football. I think it's fully rational to think that Alex DeBrincat, if he keeps this level of play up, which I don't expect it to happen this season, but in any of the next 5, I think he could actually win the Rocket Richard Trophy.
Maybe, yeah. I mean,
I think as the Red Wings continue to get better, he continues to play, you might need to have an off year for Austin Matthews, but I think it's totally possible to look at Alex DeBrincat having at least one Rocket Richard when he hangs him up.
I also just love that like the Wings are like kind of like Michigan branded right now with Larkin and DeBrincat. Like that's just such a cool like your 2 best players are from there. That's so
Petrie's
badass.
there too, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And shout out to Justin Hall, total whipping boy in Toronto. They hated him. They wanted him out. He's now leading the NHL in plus minus.
Yep. That's why I said Hole earlier instead of Wool, because it's like the same fucking thing. 1 letter off, and they both play for the Leafs.
So Mac started first. Nick, you're piggybacking. You're not biting on Vegas, not biting on Boston.
No. I don't acknowledge either of those NHL teams' existence.
I mean, obviously they would be easy answers. I'm going to give you one and then maybe 1A, 1B. 1A, the Vancouver Canucks have actually looked decent, and they whipped the Oilers in the first 2 games of the season, which put me down a lot of units. But nonetheless, I mean, they look pretty good. I can't complain. They beat the Oilers twice. They beat the Eastern Conference defending champion Panthers. And then last night they take down the Preds. I mean, they look good, and Pettersson's been on a tear.
They usually start seasons very well. Pettersson always starts hot. Like, I feel like he always scores in like his first 5 games or something like that. Niels Holglander, that was a great fantasy pickup this week. Guy has been an absolute stud. I don't expect that to continue, but for the start of the season, hey, I'll take it.
And then my 1B team, they're not going to be good this year, but I do think they're going to be feisty. Some use the word pesky. I really like what I'm seeing out of the Montreal Canadiens. I think that they have been in every game. Cole Caulfield has come to play. Holy crap, he looks good. They're pesky. I don't know. They just stay in games. There's no other way to put it. They took down the Caps. They took down the Sabres. They've taken down the Hawks and the that's the only ones. But still, I like what they've been doing so far this year.
I think they're kind of similar to Arizona in the sense that they've got like some of these younger forwards that maybe other teams didn't really necessarily jump on or didn't really utilize all that well. Like in Montreal, you've got Caulfield, Suzuki, Dvorak, Monahan. In Arizona, you've got Schmaltz, Krause, Cooley. Some of those guys are obviously draft picks, but I do like what you're seeing out of those 2 teams to start the season.
Yeah, trying to get off the board a little bit, not pick the undefeated guys. The Avalanche, I mean, Jesus Christ. By the way, if you're listening to this on Thursday, October 26th, I don't have the stat in front of me, This is all off memory. I'm pretty sure the Colorado Avalanche have like a 17-game road winning streak dating back to last season, or maybe they're like 17-1. And guess who they play tomorrow night? The Pittsburgh Penguins. They are going to whip the shit out of us. Hammer it.
Is that in Pittsburgh or in Colorado?
It is in Pitt, so that streak is in question. It might not be a streak. I can't remember the stat, but they're unbelievable on the road dating back to last year.
Noise.
All right, Mac, trivia, and then we'll get out of here.
Yes, sir. So if you're new here, we always like to end with a trivia question. Because this was kind of a longer episode, we're just going to keep it real simple. So don't worry, there will be plenty more weeks where we will try and guess a ridiculous trivia question for way too long, and you'll be in your car punching the steering wheel, as we like to say. But this should be a pretty much a layup, I'm thinking. It's a who am I? So you ready, boys?
Yep.
All right. Who am I? I scored the first NHL goal of my career on October 25th, 1998, when McCain Vogel was just 5 months old. And we beat the Vancouver Canucks 3-2 in this game. All right. That's what I'm going to start with just for a second. I know it's super vague. But think about the year. And if it's your first NHL goal in the year 1998, maybe you just got drafted.
Is this like a
Does
household
this
name?
have something to do with a post you sent us earlier today?
I don't think so. I can't remember. I send you guys so much shit every day. I don't know. Maybe,
Yeah.
but
I'm guilty too.
I
I got a random guess off the just like be like, I don't have any idea if this guy was a rookie or not. I'm taking a guess. Jerome McGinley.
No. The reason I kept it vague is because it will be a layup if I give you like either of the other two details, I fear. So I just wanted to see if randomly one of you could figure it out.
Nick, give it a crack and then we'll get the
It's like I feel like the first thing coming to my brain is Daniel Alfredson.
No,
But like I
this
feel like
year-
his rookie year was like
I mean, you guys are
95,
both
right?
in the right era of like Alfredson and Aginla were tearing up the league during the same era that this guy was tearing up the fucking league. And he's a
Okay.
household name. Like it's not something weird. It's
Can
like,
we get another hint?
yeah. Let's see. How well do you guys know like the 98 draft?
Not that well.
Nick, I'm worried about you. I feel like you know this shit really well.
Not at all.
Okay. He was first overall that year. And then he scored his first goal on October 25th.
First overall at 98. Wow, that makes me feel really dumb.
It's not Alex Daigle, is it?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm telling you, this is a household hockey name,
Okay.
like who went on to have like a terrific career, mostly playing for this same team his whole time until the very end. He went to, I think, one other, maybe two other teams at the end.
I have a name in my brain, but I know he didn't go first overall, so it can't be him.
NHL video game legend, like some of the early like 04, 05, 06 games. This guy was a fucking beast.
Did this guy play for the Devils?
No.
Okay.
Eastern Conference though. But Pacific Division, I'll give you. Or sorry. Atlantic Division.
Joe Thornton?
No.
That's a good guess.
I can't. The problem is the third detail here is the team he plays for, and that would be a dead fucking giveaway. I can't give you that.
Atlantic. We got Detroit. Tampa.
I've guessed two guys from Ottawa, so I'm not going back to Ottawa.
Vinny Lecavalier wasn't one, was he?
That's the one.
Oh,
That's the one.
Wow.
Okay.
There you go. There
I
you
don't
go.
know why. I always pictured him like way before 98.
Yep.
He retired in like 2014.
And did he
13?
only play for the Flyers? Was that the only other one after Tampa?
The
or was there-
Kings.
The Kings too.
Kings too. Okay, that's right. That's right.
Flyers, Kings, Lightning, I believe.
I think that's it.
That was a good one, Mac.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good.
Yeah, I actually enjoyed that. It was a perfect amount of like hint.
If you
Yeah.
had, because if you
But
had
if I had
Tampa,
said
it would have
first
been
overall
like,
draft pick, the way they have it here is I was first overall draft pick in 98 and I scored my first goal for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Who am I? I'm like,
I would have
yeah,
given
come
it
on.
away.
yeah,
I
it would have
given it away.
been him because Marty wasn't drafted.
Yeah, exactly.
I will say this: if you didn't give me like the division or conference, like when you said Atlantic, I would have never gotten it.
Okay.
So that was a good hint.
Fair
Good
enough.
hint.
Fair enough.
I like in my brain, I'm like, well, it can't be Tampa. I'm going to go to them last.
I had Patrick Marleau in my brain, but I knew he wasn't first. I'm pretty sure he was that Joe Thornton draft too.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
All right,
Anything
good
else,
episode,
fellas?
boys. Thanks for listening, all you patrons out there.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Thank you, everybody, for the love and support as always. Another special thank you to B Saul. Give us a follow on Twitter, Insta, all that good jazz. Without further ado,
Class dismissed.